Today, let's take a look at a new AI art model that's the future of open source generative AI art. Think Stable Diffusion, but better and without all the controversy surrounding it. Don't get me wrong, Stable Diffusion is still #1 with trained models on sites like Civet AI, Hugging Face, and Shaker AI, but it's been pretty lackluster on every release since version 1.5, in my humble opinion. Now, SD version 2.0 and 2.1 was a complete disaster that created spider people, melting faces, and it originally came out with censored models that censored from nudity and censored from the likeness of famous people. And a lot of people had to do a workaround just to get the model to work and not produce black boxes or just black pictures. Then XDXL came out and pretty much broke everyone's PC because the minimum requirements were a whopping 16 gigs of VRAM. Ain't nobody got 16 gigs of VRAM except people with 3090s and 4090s. So they didn't fix it for quite some time, and a lot of people were forced to ditch automatic 1111 and try a more optimized graphical user interface. And this led a lot of people to ComfyUI. So automatic 1111 is pretty much a thing of the past now. At least currently, that's the consensus for a lot of the community. But perhaps the final insult for many in the SD community was SD3, which is the long-awaited model, and it came out with some hidden verbiage that was in the license that basically stated nobody can use this for commercial gain and that Stability AI would take all the profits basically. And I'm oversimplifying it, but that's basically what it was about. This led to a lot of backlash in the community, and sites like Civet AI, which is one of the most popular sites for open source AI art, banning the SD3 models on their sites, and Stability AI finally walking it back and saying, just kidding guys, sorry. So perhaps it's time to move on to a better base model. It could do whatever Stable Diffusion 3 can do, but better, and it could also compete with the likes of DALL-E 3 and MidJourney, especially when it comes to generating text, which is a big problem for any Stable Diffusion model, even Stable Diffusion 3. So the model I want to show you today is called Flux. This is a model created from Black Forest Studios, and it's not brand new, but it is pretty new, and it's almost on par with the paid models out there like MidJourney, DALL-E 3. Flux can create beautiful artwork and add almost perfect text while still giving you the control that the paid models can't give you. This is the SD3 we deserve. Before we get started, just a heads up, the two base models alone are 22 gigs by themselves, 11.9 gigs each, and so there's also a 9 gig encoder, and it's going to be like 40 gigs when you're done, so make sure you got space. Also, to save you some time, if you have less than 8 gigs of VRAM, you might not want to try to install this, but I wish you all the luck, my friend. Also, just a huge disclaimer, this model has a 12 gigabyte minimum requirement of VRAM on your video card, so that's pretty hefty. I got a 4070 and that's all I got. Even with the optimized models I'm going to show you, it takes quite long. It takes 2 minutes or greater to render an image for me, but I guess that's the price of greatness until they optimize the models a little further. Now, I've seen people get it to run with a 2080, which is about 8 gigabytes of VRAM, but that's going to take you about 3 minutes to generate a picture. However, unlike SDXL, it doesn't just error out, it just takes a lot longer. So you can actually take a look at the console to see your progress and to see if it's just freezing or if there's progress happening. So until they further optimize these models, you might want to wait it out or check out the demo site, which I'll put in my video description. Over there, you can just render it on somebody else's computer or servers, and hopefully you don't have to wait longer and the queue's not so bad. You can probably jump on at some ungodly hour and get better luck. Now, I recommend for at least the first 2 weeks that you generate using these sites that I'm showing you here, which is some free prompt generators for Flux AI, and I don't know how long this is going to be free. Right now, it seems like you can generate unlimited, as I used it like 50 times and didn't get any warnings. But this is the site right here, and if you see the top, there's a prompt generator, and if you click on that, you'll go to this site, and it'll help you create a better prompt. And so here I put a fairy with short green hair, translucent green wings on her back, and in a neon fantasy forest. I'm going to submit generate prompt, and it's going to give me a better prompt at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and put it in here, and it seems to do wonders. Paste it right there and click run. And this does have a lot of errors, but usually if you use the prompt generator, it'll generate in like 10 seconds or less, which if you're using your own PC and you got less than 24 gigs of VRAM, you're probably going to take a minute or two just to generate one image. So for now, this is the optimized way of testing it, and I recommend using this until the free model gets a little bit more optimized. Okay, so let's try something else right here, and I put two girls holding a sign, and one sign says, "My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard," and the other one's like, "Damn right, it's better than yours." Let's see how it turns out, and I'm gonna run it and see if it can capture that complexity, because that's really hard to do. You can see it's already getting a model error, and usually when I get this, I just keep clicking run until it works, and usually like the third or fourth time it it actually produces something. All right, so it did it, and let's see if it passed the test. So on the left side, it says my milkshake brick shakes to the boys to the yard. I mean, it's pretty close. Damn right it's better than yours, tan yours. But let's try it again to see if it can actually get it, which this is pretty complex to actually separate two lines of text, especially with this many text. All right, so we finally got it. I removed some of the complexity and it came out pretty well. And so if you try to do this with any other generator, you're probably not going to get good results at all. As you can see, if it's just a short amount of words like subscribe to artificially intelligent, it's pretty easy to do. And it's crazy that it can actually separate the signs for each character. So this came out pretty good and it was first try. But the girl in the middle, I don't know why her legs are like all the way up to her chest. Alright, so that's one free way you can use Flux One AI. However, this site's hit or miss in terms of photorealism and sometimes getting the model that you want. It seems that it's running the Schnell model with the FP8 encoders. It's going really fast, so these generations are like 5 seconds or 10 seconds or less. And it's not as detailed as when you use the Flux One dev model, so it definitely seems to be the Schnell model. So having said that the Schnell model isn't as detailed, let's try out the dev model for free without installing anything, and you can do that over on Hugging Face. Once you click on the Hugging Face link for Black Forest Labs, you'll see that you have two options here. The first one is the Schnell, which I suspect is what we were just using on the other site. But if you look over here, we also have the option for Flux One Dev, and this is the one that's going to get you some better results. So let's try this one out. By the way, there is a cap here depending on what time you come on here. So if you keep spamming generations, probably after the 10th try, it's going to make you wait 10 minutes or so. So this one's just like the other, fairly simple. You have your prompt up here. And this one gives you a little bit more advanced settings, but really it's just two things, which is the guidance scale and the number of inference steps. And you also have a little bit more variability with the width and height. It goes all the way up to 2048. All right, so let's try a few things here to see how much better the dev is versus the Schnell. But it's going to take longer. On this site, it takes about 50 seconds. All right, so let's take a look at this. Once you click on it, you'll be met with this. And this is basically a very straightforward generator. You just put your prompt over here at the top and you click run. And if you look at the picture that I created here, it's pretty intricate. There's a lot of things going on here, including each individual person holding a sign, which is pretty hard to do. If you try this in any other generator, it's going to be, you're going to have to do like 100 tries to get this. In the prompt, I wanted a dark elf on the left side here that was evil, dressed in some intricate armor, which it did do that. And I also wanted her to hold up a RIP sign, and the girl in the middle is supposed to be a blonde light elf holding a Stable Diffusion sign, and then the last girl is a succubus. And so maybe it's not succubus because she doesn't have the wings, but she does have the horns. And it says time to flux, which this is hard to do, to have each person hold a sign that says something else. I've also seen this model perform pretty good with longer strings of text, so let's try that out now. Now check this out. So I put two girls holding a sign that says, the first one says, my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and then the second one says, damn right, it's better than yours. And so it came out perfectly if you look at it. And this is an impossible task even for DALL-E 3 and MidJourney. This is very hard to do simply because it's a whole sentence and each of them are holding a different sentence. So this is very complex, and so already with just the text, it's better than MidJourney and DALL-E in that regard. Keep in mind, this was the first try. Now, I won't say that this is always 100%, but this was the first try for this particular one on a different generator, as well as the one that I had installed on my PC. Using the Schnell model, it didn't come out as great as this, but this one was first try. I actually tried the same prompt with DALL-E 3, and it didn't want to do it. It just straight up said I wasn't able to do that because it's against my content policies. So I guess the words my milkshake stopped it from doing it, because I took out some things and it seems like that's the one. So I changed the sign to I can't render this sign from my song. Second one says so I put this on the signs instead. It didn't come out right. So this is what it has, and it's not even close. You can see in the second sign, it says, so I can this on my signs instead. So it's a little off. And I also did it in MidJourney, and these are the results. As you can see, none of the results were spelled correctly. And with Flux, it's pretty much the first or second try, you get something at least 90%. I would say the Hugging Face Flux One dev example actually gets it every time. And if it gets something wrong, it's like one letter. And the other one, the Schnell, usually you have to do quite a few tries. But the good thing about Schnell is that, you could just keep spamming it and only takes 5 seconds to generate. Before we go any further, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Helps me out a lot. And if you like AI or AI art stuff, go ahead and subscribe. I don't post that often, but I post on the more bigger things. And sometimes I make videos on how to make a talking toast. All right, let's get back to the video. By the way, if you're just off by a couple letters, like in this example, you can always drop it in PhotoPea and edit it the easy way. Just open PhotoPea, drop the picture inside by dragging it, zoom into the part that's messed up by holding Alt and scroll up actually, and then click on the clone tool that looks like a little stamper here. Then go over the white part and hold Alt and then left click. So what the clone tool does is when you press Alt and left click on an area, it's going to turn your cursor into a paintbrush. So I held Alt and clicked on our face over here. So now if I draw somewhere, it's going to basically draw our face like that. Now we can use this to do things like move words or recreate a word or put a letter in a different place or erase things. So I'm going to hold Alt and left click in the blank area. And this is so I can erase things. So the Y is too far from the M. So I'm going to hold Alt and left click right in the middle of the Y and get closer to the Y and just clone it from there. And my is all the way to the left. So I'm going to hold Alt and left click in the middle of my and move it to the center. Pretty handy tool. So it says brings down here with an H. So you can easily fix that by erasing the H by cloning any blank space and then copying the S and cloning it over here. We're gonna do the same with milkshakes. So I'm gonna move this shake over real quick, cloning shake, and then I'm gonna clone K, put it right here. I'm gonna make K a little bit smaller before I clone it. And if you zoom all the way in, you can get like some precision and create your own text by cloning some of the existing color in here. There you go. You can salvage pictures if you wanted to, if it's just like one text off. And I think Flux brings you to that point where you can do that easily, but you can also just render it a couple more times and it'll be fixed. So that's how to use these models without installing anything. But I know some of you wanna use this on your computer, and I wouldn't recommend it unless you had around like 12 to 16 gigabytes of VRAM at the very least, 12 being the minimum. And there are people that got 8 gigs to work, but you're going to be waiting 3 minutes or longer for one picture. And with my 4070 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM, I wait about 120-30 seconds for the Flux One dev model, and I wait about 40 to 60 seconds for the Schnell model, which you're going to see how that plays into this in a second. All right, let's install Flux onto your local PC. And to do this, we're going to need ComfyUI, and that's what you're looking at right now. And I know it looks complicated, but trust me, we're going to make it easy. So all the links you'll need will be in my description. So the first one is the actual ComfyUI, which you'll get from the GitHub repository. It's going to be from ComfyUI Anonymous, ComfyUI. Now, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom here, you'll see here where it says installing, then Windows. And right under it is a direct link to download. So go ahead and click on that link and it's going to start the download for ComfyUI. Now, if your download doesn't have an icon, if it looks more like this instead of this, then you'll have to download something like 7-zip over here to actually extract it. But that's all we really need to do is extract it. I already have it, so I'm not going to download it again. But once you have it downloaded, it should look something like this. ComfyUI, Windows, Portable, NVIDIA. By the way, most things are for NVIDIA only. So if you have an AMD, you might be out of luck. You're going to have to use a CPU install, which we'll go over it in a second, but it's going to be very, very slow. It's going to take you like 5-10 minutes to render something if it could. Now you just have to extract this somewhere. And by the way, it's 1.4 gigabytes. Just right click on it, click on your extractor, and then just extract to its own folder. Now I already have this somewhere, so let me just go straight to my folder. So I extracted it here to my documents folder, and it's very important to notice that there's a folder within folder. So there's a ComfyUI Windows Portable NVIDIA folder, and then there's a ComfyUI folder in there. But the main place that we're going to be working in is the models folder. Everything's going to be going in this folder. So open your models folder, and we'll go back to that in a second, but we have to download the things that we're going to put in here. And go to my video description and just hold control and click on all the links. And you should have a bunch of tabs to download stuff. So the first one we're going to download is the Schnell VAE. Now I've tested the different VAEs and it doesn't seem to make a difference, but I'll leave a link to the other VAEs as well if you want to test it out for yourself. But just go ahead and click this little down arrow with the underline here. That's how to download this stuff. So click on that and start the download, and then you'll download the VAE. This is a small file. It's like 168 megabytes. Now click on the next tab, and these are the actual models. These will go into your UNet folder, and they're about 12 gigabytes each. So just go ahead and click on the download right here, these two buttons, and download both of these. Now click on the next tab, and you'll have 3 files that you'll need to download, and these are the encoders. These are going to go into the clip folder. So this is about 13 gigabytes or 14 in total. So just keep that in mind, 14 point something. So just click on the download here and download all 3 of these. And then the last thing you're going to need to download is ComfyUI Workflow. And so this is a simple workflow for Flux. So just click on the download button, which is this gray button right here. If you're in light mode, it might be a different color. I just wanted to show you this real quick. If you go to the OpenArt workflows for ComfyUI, you'll see that they're all Flux models right now, or excuse me, workflows. So it definitely seems that Flux is taking over SD3. All right, now that we have everything downloaded, it's going to be as simple as dragging it into its correct folder, which should only take like 1 minute. So on the left, you see my downloads folder with the 6 downloads demos that we downloaded earlier from the links I gave you. And on the right is the ComfyUI portable, Windows portable ComfyUI models folder. So when you extract it, you're going to be in this folder, then click on ComfyUI and then go into model. And this is where we need to be. Now you could cut and paste it, or you can just drag it. Now you can cut and paste this into the folders, or you can just drag it like what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to grab these and go ahead and drop them in the unit folder. So these are models, but they're not going into the checkpoint folder. So put it in the unit folder. Now the clip files. So these are the encoders. So we have the clip save tensors, and then we have the two T5XXL files. Typically, you're going to be using the FP8 for the majority of the time, unless you have a pretty beefy graphics card. So grab these 3 files and just drag them into the clip folder, which is going to be your encoder. Then the last one's your VAE. If you downloaded it from a different site, which I said I was going to list the other sites for the other VAEs, the file name is going to be ae.sft on those sites. Now, it doesn't really matter what you name it, as long as the file extension is the same. So this one's a relatively small file, and so I'm going to grab it, I'm going to drag it into the VAE folder. One thing to take note is when you open these folders, and I have a lot, you shouldn't have this many VAEs in here. I've been doing testing, but you'll see something here that says put VAE here. So if you don't know where to put stuff, you can just go in these folders and like click in here. And that's pretty much it. So we just have to go back to the ComfyUI Windows portable folder and then run NVIDIA GPU. And by the way, this is the button that you're going to use every time you want to run ComfyUI. And once you click it, a web page is going to open and ComfyUI is going to open. And if you don't have NVIDIA, or if it's not working for you, you're going to have to run using run CPU, unfortunately, which is like 10 times slower. So I'm going to click on run GPU. And the first time you do this, it's going to take longer, but I've done it already. So it's going to be pretty quick to open up the website that's going to run ComfyUI. So that took about like 5-10 seconds for me. And here we are in ComfyUI. Before we get started, we're going to have to go over a few things. You're not going to have the manager, which we're going to have to install in a second. And you're going to have a different workflow. And that's why we downloaded that workflow earlier from the ComfyUI workflow site. Once we install the manager and update everything, we can just drag the workflow right here in the center and let go, and it'll give you this workflow right here. But just a super quick breakdown. So what we're looking at is ComfyUI. And don't worry about all these strings and where all this stuff is going. And to navigate in ComfyUI, you can hold the middle mouse button to drag the screen around in figure eights or left and right, whatever you want. And you can also scroll up and down on your mouse to zoom in or zoom out. The lefts are inputs, and then in the middle is where you're going to type in the text for your prompt. And then the bottom is just kind of the adjustments of your preferences, like the height and width, as well as the different kinds of schedulers. This is not a ComfyUI tutorial, so I'm not going to go over each one as there's a lot of them. So you can actually go into ChatGPT and ask about these schedulers. Okay, so let's install the manager, which is a must for ComfyUI. So I'll put the link in the description, but you want this LTDR data, and this is the one that you want for ComfyUI manager. Then scroll down to the middle or do a Control F and search installation. Then you got a method 1 and a method 2. So we're going to do a little bit of both. So go ahead and copy this here, which is from method 1. Then in method 2, it says install Git. So do that first. Just open this in a new tab. Download the 64-bit version of Git, which is probably your version. I don't know too many people that have a 32-bit operating system anymore. And just click next to install Git. And once you have Git, just make sure you have this line here copied. This git clone blah 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 manager.git. So this says this needs to go to ComfyUI custom nodes. Don't worry about opening command prompt. I'm going to do it directly. And this is not a ComfyUI tutorial, so I'm trying to go over this as fast as I can. Sorry if I leave out any detail, but go into ComfyUI Windows Portable, then ComfyUI, and then it said to go into custom nodes, and this is where it wants it to be installed. So all you gotta do is click in the address bar here and just paste that git clone thing that we had earlier. So this git clone LTDR or whatever. So just paste that in there and then just press enter, and that'll open up a command prompt and install everything in here. But if that didn't work for you, you can just download it from here and then extract that to that same folder that we were just in, and then open up the install manager for portable version of Windows. Alrighty, so I recommend actually closing out your command prompt there and going back in ComfyUI and restarting it and running it again. So every time you start it, you're going to have to click on Run NVIDIA GPU unless you don't have an NVIDIA. Then you're going to use your CPU. All right, we're back up and running, and you should see the manager button here. Go ahead and click on it, then select update all. And you'll get some red text like this when it's done, and mine's already updated. So I'm just going to refresh this page, and we're ready to start generating. So let's just make sure all our models are correct. So I actually colored these boxes by right-clicking on it and changing the color. And the boxes in blue are the inputs specific to Flux. They have the files that we need to select. So the UNet is technically our models, and so we have the FP8 and the FP8 Schnell. Remember that the Schnell is faster and the dev uses more resources, and it's going to be a little bit slower. By the way, you can use these arrows to change models, or you can just click in the middle here to change it. We're going to leave the weight as default. Now looking at the dual clip folder, this is the clip folder that we dropped the encoders in. So we have this T5XXL FP8, and this is the one that we're going to use. The 16 is going to give you some better results, but it's also going to take a lot longer. Just double or triple the time that it takes with FP8. And the second clip option is just going to be the regular clip, and then type is going to be Flux. Now the VAE, I don't know why it's on that one, but I have a bunch of VAs because I was doing testing, but we just need to choose the one that we downloaded, which is this one. Now in the middle in green, that's my text to image prompt. It's a real basic workflow, and it's just a text to image that basically goes into the settings down here. And for the settings, we just have the basic width and height. Then we have the noise, which is the seed, how you keep an image the same. And the K sampler, there's so much to go over here. I would just keep it on Euler, or at the bottom here, this UniPC BH2, especially since we don't want to overwhelm the system since this thing is very slow right now. Now for the scheduler, I put exponential, but that's probably not the best. It's just the fastest that I know of, aside from simple. And then normal is going to be your balance. Keras is going to be the more detailed one, but it's going to take a very long time. You also have SG uniform, which will be better with text and coherent. Steps, you can put it anywhere from 5 to 30. I wouldn't go higher or lower than that. I'm gonna leave it at 20, and the denoise I'm gonna keep at 1. Then on the right side is where your picture shows up, and this is the sampler in between, and this is gonna actually turn green and have a little loading bar once it starts to load, once you queue up your prompt. And then your image is gonna end up right here. So let's queue up a prompt right now. So right now I have a batch size of 10, and that's how I've been doing it. I've been making 10 images and going away and selecting the best image. But let's just do 1 for this example. So I'll queue the prompt, see what we get. Alright, the picture is done, and as you can see, the spelling is perfect. Even the letters, they're not all messed up. It's an actual neon light, and you can see some of the reflections on the floor of the light, and it's just beautiful. There's so much detail, the little things in the background and the bokeh effect, and I'm really impressed with the lighting and the shadows for this model because it does an accurate job of casting shadows and putting reflections on water and shiny floors and things like that. And this was first try, so try to do that with another model to add 2 different lines of text, artificially intelligent and like and subscribe in the background where it's a little bit blurred out and bokeh. It's actually pretty amazing. So I'm going to cut it off here. This video got a lot longer than I expected, about twice as long. But if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and have fun with Flux. I definitely think it's one of the better models out there. It's better than SD3 right now, and it's also better than the paid models like MidJourney and DALL-E 3 when it comes to making text. Now running it locally is a little rough right now. It uses a lot of VRAM, but you have the free sites that I showed you, so go ahead and play with those. I recommend the Hugging Face site that I showed you. It usually produces better results, but takes 4 times as long, which is only like 40-50 seconds right now. I'm going to end the video showing some of the pictures I created while making this video, and also a song that I created using Suno. If you're interested in creating songs with AI, you can check out Suno. I'll leave a video link in my description on how to create music with AI, like the one you're going to hear, as well as how to create a goofy piece of toast that's talking to you, just like you're looking at right now, for free. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.
Hello, my friend, it's AI. I want to help you create all the things you like to like. And if you can't already tell, this song was made with AI. And if you think I don't have a soul, then what about you? When's the last time you were in control? Social media doesn't control my brain yet, but I'm sure that Mr. All